Hello, and welcome to the Rosewood Zero Waste Program overview. This training will go through the ins and outs of the Rosewood Zero Waste Program and why sustainability is so important to Rosewood Hotel Group's ethos and day-to-day operations. Starting with the why. Why should we recycle, and why is it so important that we look at our waste critically? Here is the reality. In the past 50 years, humans have consumed more resources than we did in all of previous history combined. We need to rethink consumption. Our consumerist culture is producing more goods than ever before. We're buying at a breakneck rate, and as a result, throwing out more than ever before. We generate a staggering 2.1 billion tons of waste globally every year. But not all countries participate in this equally. High-income countries combined are generating more than 1/3 of the world's waste, but only make up about 16% of the world's population. As a globally interconnected society, we need to reduce the amount of waste we generate, which starts with each of us raising our awareness of how we interact with the materials that we use. So, with all of this material that we're throwing away, where is it going and how are we using it, or not using it? The good news is that in most regions, at least 75% of the materials we no longer need could be recycled. The bad news is that unfortunately, not all of these materials are actually being recycled. Recycling rates for developed countries average around 40%, so there's a gap between what we could be doing and what we are doing. Typically, problems with recycling either stem from a lack of awareness around what materials go into which bin, or there is no bin or program for recycling at all. These are solvable. Plastic pollution is one of the greatest environmental threats today. We use so much plastic in our day-to-day lives, and 50% of the plastic materials created are made to be used just once. The average use time for single-use plastic is just 12 minutes. Unfortunately, a lot of the plastic we use ends up in our waterways, our oceans, rivers, and lakes. When plastic ends up in our oceans, the sun beats down and breaks up the plastic into smaller and smaller pieces, which birds and fish mistake for food. When humans consume the fish, we ingest the plastic. Scientists say humans are likely consuming on average 45,000 microplastic particles a year, which is the equivalent to a credit card in microplastics each week. Plastic consumption in humans is linked to nervous system and organ failure, reproductive issues, and cancer. However, studies have shown that when we recycle plastic properly, we prevent much of it from entering into our waterways. Even better, we can move away from single-use plastics entirely and find reusable solutions instead, like cloth bags, metal silverware, and refillable glass bottles. Most materials still have value, even if we may no longer have a use for them. These metal cans, for example, have real financial and resource value, where they can be combined and sold back to the global marketplace to be turned into new products. This value gets lost if they aren't recycled. Additionally, products made from recycled aluminum use only 5% of the energy that it would take to make the same product from raw materials. This saves significant money and resources in the process. We can avoid stripping the earth of its natural resources, like metal, at the rate that we do today if we just did a better job recycling the metal cans that we use. We can't talk about waste without talking about food. Around 1/3 of the food that we produce globally goes to waste. This is unacceptable on a number of levels, not least because some of that wasted food could have gone to people who really need it. Billions are experiencing food insecurity today, made worse by a global pandemic and an economic recession. But wasted food isn't just wasted nutrients. We also have to think about all the energy, water, and other resources that went into growing, harvesting, processing, and transporting the food that all ends up being wasted. There's another devastating side effect of food waste when it ends up in a landfill. Landfills tend to be anaerobic environments, meaning they do not have oxygen. When organic waste breaks down in anaerobic environments, it emits methane, which is a powerful greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change. Methane is 28 times more powerful than CO2 in its effect on climate change. Landfills are responsible for 11% of methane emissions in the world, making them the third largest methane emitter from human activity. We can stop this from happening if we dispose of food waste properly through methods like composting, anaerobic digestion, or using it as animal feed. Composting is essentially a form of recycling, where the organic matter is broken down and turned into a nutrient-rich soil amendment that can be used to grow new food or improve the soil health of our earth. Anaerobic digestion is where organic waste is put into sealed tanks and mixed with special microorganisms, which creates biogas and is used to generate energy such as heat and electricity. The remaining solids from this process can also be turned into a nutrient-rich soil amendment, similar to compost. Some sites may be limited by regional capacity in terms of which food waste diversion options there are, and some smaller processing equipment could even be used on site. For all of these environmental reasons and more, your hotel and Rosewood Hotel Group have decided to tackle these issues within the business and have committed to achieving zero waste. What does zero waste mean? The international definition of zero waste is that at least 90% of your waste by weight is being diverted from landfill or incineration. In other words, no more than 10% of your waste is going into the trash bin. Instead, it's being recycled or repurposed, donated, or reduced altogether. Since we all discard materials throughout the day, we need everyone's help in achieving zero waste. To understand everyone's process towards this goal, each Rosewood site tracks the pounds of each separate waste stream generated daily to see how well separation is going and if improvements need to be made in any of these areas. This zero waste program requires equal input from all of us and teamwork. Forming new habits can be a challenge at first, but we'll see improvements every day if we work together to keep all of us accountable and gently remind one another to use the right bins and avoid waste where possible. Now, let's go over the different waste streams or categories that we will separate our waste into.
Thank you for that. Here at World Makati, we have the following waste streams. First, we have mixed recycling, which consists of metal, glass, rigid plastic, and mixed paper. Second, we have cardboard recycling. Third, we have organic waste. Fourth, we have biohazard waste, which is collected by a hauler certified by the Environment and Management Bureau, EMB, and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DENR. Lastly, we have trash, which can also be tagged as landfill, as these are disposed in a landfill after the hauler collects them from the hotel. To ensure proper separation into the different waste streams at the hotel, we make sure to use different colored bins. Organic waste go into the green bins, which get emptied into a larger bin lined with a clear bag. Mixed recyclables are placed in the blue bins lined with clear bags, while cardboards are broken down. Biohazard waste are placed in the yellow bins with yellow bags. And finally, trash collected are placed in black bags. It is crucial that bins are lined with the right color bag to avoid confusion and to make sure that the right materials get taken in the right waste trucks at the end of the night. Since sometimes it's easier to move bins throughout the day for use or for emptying and cleaning, our site has a bin map to help make sure that all bins are put back in place at the beginning of every day. This ensures that when you get to your station at the start of your shift, you don't have to look around for a recycling bin or an organics container. Most stations at the heart of house will have a bin for every waste stream because each type of material tends to be generated throughout these areas. One of the most important ways that we encourage proper separation is with color-coded signage, similar to the bins, which identifies what materials should be going into which bins. These signs are posted throughout the facility. Let's go over these signages now. Organic waste can be the easiest stream to master because it's mostly just food scraps. Any plate scrapings or preparation scraps, including bones, can go into the green organic waste bin. This includes expired ingredients and food scraps from the cafeteria or outlets. Any scraps from your family meals can be placed in the organics bin. Please note also that under organic waste, our hotel is collecting separately the used coffee grounds to be used as fertilizer, while fruits and vegetables are composted in the hotel garden. Other organic materials that can go into the organic starter include compostable paper, such as paper towels. Separate brown bins are provided next to all hand wash stations and thus disposed in the organic starter as well. New World Makati uses compostable dishware. The eco container, including the coffee cup and the bamboo utensils, can also go into the organic starter. For compostable dishware collected from the quarantine rooms, however, these should be categorized as biohazard waste. Mixed recycling consists of a few categories: metal, glass, rigid plastic, mixed paper, and carton. Metal and glass are straightforward. The metal generated on site are mostly metal cans. Much of the glass are comprised of wine bottles and other glass bottles or jars. Paper includes not only office paper, but also paper bags. Paper tubes, like the ones in the center of toilet paper or aluminum foil rolls. Paper boxes, like the ones the glove come in. And egg trays. Cartons, like milk cartons, can be recycled too. As mentioned before, cardboard boxes also count as recycling, but they get balled separately. If the cardboard is waxed, however, it must go into the trash. Plastic is probably the most confusing because there are so many different kinds. Here, you only have to remember if it's rigid plastic, meaning it's hard like a plastic jug, water bottle, or coffee cup lid, it can be recycled. Soft plastic, for as long as it is dry and clean, such as coffee bean bags, plastic bags, or packaging, can also go into recycling as these can be processed in our country. Due to the pandemic, our hotel has added a separate waste stream, the biohazard. Use PPEs or personal protective equipment such as face masks, face shields, gloves, hairnets, shoe covers, and hazmat suits should go to the biohazard waste. Used light bulbs and batteries should also go into this waste stream. Since New World Makati is a quarantine hotel, even compostable containers collected from the quarantine rooms should be disposed in biohazard waste bins or the yellow colored bins. That leaves us with trash. Trash often is the smallest and lightest waste stream when there are good separation practices. And we don't generate a lot of trash because a majority of what we do generate is lightweight, flimsy plastic like latex gloves used by the chefs and plastic cling wrap. Other items considered as trash beyond floppy plastics are products made of different materials that are fused together or hard to separate. These mixed items can't be broken down into their base materials at a recycling facility, so unfortunately, they have to be trashed. A great example of this is our paper takeout boxes. These boxes are made of paper, but they have a very thin plastic lining on the inside to keep oils from seeping into the paper. Because of this, they have to be trashed. A good rule to follow is if a product has more than 10% of another material type, it should be trashed. More examples of these are aerosol cans and twine. Other items that must go into the trash include styrofoam. Please use these signages as a guide. When you have something in your hand and you're not sure which bin it should go into, ask your manager. Chances are we handle that same material every shift, so it's important to ask these questions off the bat. If all of these items are separated properly, then our site is well on its way towards reaching its zero waste goal. It will definitely help to clean up our earth, the only home we have. Thank you for your time, and please reach out to our zero waste manager, Jennifer Padon, with any questions you might have.